Good morning to everyone, and hello from Finland. My name is Riikka Ahokas, and I'm a music educator, researcher, and also a doctoral candidate in the University of Jyväskylä. And my supervisor is Suvi Saarikallio. And this presentation is titled Rhythm and Reading, which is also the working title of the intervention study this article is reporting of. And I will follow the structure of the paper that has been shared with all the participants in my talk. And something for the introduction, something general. This study was conducted to study the impacts of music and movement lessons in reading ability and working memory of the participants. And the research environment was one Finnish primary school, and the design was pre-testing, intervention, post, and a couple of follow-up tests as well. And the intervention period was one autumn semester in 2017, and it lasted approximately 3.5 months. And the participants were all, it's a small school, so all the first and second graders of the school participated in the study. And something about the background, basically just something about beat perception and motor abilities, which are the main qualities studied and utilized in this research. There is a quite strong connection between rhythm, beat, timing, perception skills and reading skills. Also, motor abilities are connected with reading abilities. In general, motor abilities are quite intertwined with our cognition. And therefore, the intervention design concentrated on challenging and advancing the motor abilities and perceptual rhythm of the experiment group. And next one is a small briefing on executive functions. As in this study, the act of learning is specified as a neuropsychological system relying heavily on the ability to use these executive functions. So for those who are not so familiar with the subject, executive functions is an umbrella term for a neural system controlling and managing crucial cognitive functions. And the definition for the core functions is challenged and maintained on a routine basis in the scientific field. And one definition could be for the core functions that they are working memory, inhibition, and cognitive flexibility. This is by Diamond. And something about the aims. For me, it has been important to raise awareness of the non-heterogenic and even unequal research settings. In many studies, the children, the participants, the samples are often from upper class families. And one option could be to go there where you are not able to come to the laboratory. In other words, to bring your research to these environments that are more heterogenic and naturalistic. And therefore, I aim to conduct a realistic approach in a naturalistic environment. And at the same time, I was trying to design, support, and enhance educational development work, and not to forget the partner and cooperation, the primary school. And this is not a traditional way of doing music education research in Finland, so this was quite novel way of doing it. And of course, the main aim of this intervention study was to find out, does a rhythm-based music education intervention improve children's working memory performance and reading abilities? And the timeline was that in the beginning of the autumn semester, I conducted a few tests. reading comprehension and working memory test. And then for the whole autumn semester, there were weekly lessons for all the first and second graders. In the end of the semester, I tested the children again with the same test battery, and the reading abilities, or the development of the reading abilities, was followed up in May, and in May 2018 and 2019. So this is something that I've already kind of talked through, but the design was the 70 children, approximately 70 children were in the beginning. But unfortunately, towards the end of the 2 years, eventually, the whole sample size was reduced to 52 students, 56 in the working memory and 52 in the reading ability test, I think. And the research environment, it is a unique small size primary school, Koskela Primary School in Helsinki metropolitan area. It only has 130 students, or had, now it's a bit more. And grades from 1 to 4, plus 1 special unit for special education needs children. 1/3 of the student population has some other than Finnish as their home language. And it's a really cool research environment, because even though it's so small, the socioeconomic backgrounds of the students and the families are quite equally diverse. So it's a really nice research environment. And the participants, like I already told, all the school's elementary instruction students participated in the study. So in Finland, this elementary instruction, it means that all the first and second graders, 6 to 8 years old, they're supposed to learn all the basic elements of learning during these couple of years, like learning to read. And 1/3 of the student population, and also this sample had some other than Finnish as their home language. And something about the intervention, it lasted 3.5 months. And depending on the resources provided by the school, the lessons were 20 or 40 minutes long. And experiment groups training, or the lessons, were designed the way that they would, all the songs and exercises were designed the way that they would challenge the motor abilities and perception of rhythm. They were like emphasized during this period of time. And on the other hand, half of the group was going to these lessons that didn't contain so much movement-based teaching methods, or so much percussive stuff, or rhythm exercises and so on. And the groups were identical in size and profile. So before and after the training period, the groups were tested with working memory tests, and also with this Finnish national reading comprehension test, ALLU, which is a nice example of the productivity of the cooperation, as the school was also able to use this reading comprehension and reading ability test as their own evaluation in their own work. So this is just a nice example of the dialogue that I was able to conduct during this year. And I was able to cooperate with the special education needs teacher of the school, so I was able to follow up the reading abilities in the spring 2018 and in spring 2019. So something about the results. As you can see from the picture, experiment group enhanced its performance quite nicely after the intervention period and stayed better than control group, even after 17 months. But the change was not statistically significant. There were 2 little children, and because of the control group also enhanced its performance, of course. And the working memory results are statistically a bit more satisfying, as within the groups the change was statistically significant when the controls result was not. So it was a nice one too. And something to conclude, I think that my time is starting to be up, I think. Conducting an ecologically valid intervention study in this sort of an environment would require greater resources. Money would be nice. And after the training period, the experiment group achieved higher scores compared with the control group in both of the tests, but the difference was not statistically significant. And as can be seen in the data, this improvement improved competence in reading abilities lasted even after 17 months. And for me, in the light of these very comprehensive references about this beat, timing, rhythm perception connected with reading abilities, for me it seems a bit almost like disturbing that this evidence hasn't supported a strong line of practical rhythm and movement implementations in the field of music education, at least in Finland, education and or special education. So it's something that I don't understand. And something a bit about the challenges. Even though this setting was amazing and nice and the dialogue was really fruitful and productive, the privacy and autonomy of the researcher was challenged a few times on behalf of the class teachers of the school, as the setting was executed on their grounds. I was so tightly linked with the school's regular activities. But in general, the possibilities of executing the setting as part of the school day routine were supportive and enabled by the primary school. It would be recommended, nevertheless, to execute this kind of setting if the resources permit, with the researcher status only, I think. That would be much more easier. But, yeah. I think I'm done.